Didn't think I'd be making another video so soon. It's ironic because this topic is actually something I really didn't want to make a video about. I kind of just never really wanted to make a whole video talking about this. I wanted to stay away from this on my channel for as long as I could, you know. Never wanted to ever make it a main focus. But, I recently just felt because of other things I've watched that, you know what? These aren't as big of an issue that you're making them out to be. So I just ripped the band-aid off, got the camera, and sat down and said, "Alright, let's talk about it." Again, I don't plan any of these videos in advance. I just speak my mind and see where that takes me. Um, Now obviously, I've mentioned in passing I have ADHD on autism, and I found out in December, November, like for sure. I suspected it back in July or June, and then I actually got officially diagnosed come November and December. Phew. Now, the reason for the hesitation is because before I knew I had these conditions, I spent a lot of time going around the internet as people do. And sometimes there'd be controversies and drama and people doing bullshit. I don't actually use social media, Instagram, Snapchat, um, Instagram, Snapchat. What are people using nowadays? I'm only 21, but I sound like a flipping old man. I have no clue. Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever else I don't really use. Now, I do use Discord, but I'm in a server with like, how many friends? Just under seven, under 10 friends. And I talk to these people only. So this is basically my WhatsApp, even though I have WhatsApp and don't use it that much. So even though it's a social media platform, I don't really consider it as me being on social media, especially since it's not really a platform that I'm going to get my news from. I'm in other servers as well, but like they're all in a folder. I don't actually talk in those servers. I literally just enter for this for the stickers so I can use it myself, and I leave. Um, but yeah, you go around, you see controversies. TikTok is a platform that I believe is utter cancer, but I definitely think it's a good platform overall. It's just you got quite a lot of bad apples. But whenever there was some kind of bullshit going on, there was no, it's a bit of a confirmation bias actually. But there were just some people who would act out, and then they start claiming, or you've seen them claim that they have autism, they have ADHD, they have depression, they have anxiety, they have the OCD. And it's like, for me personally, I always looked at them and said, why are you stacking these things like they're flipping debuffs or they're buffs? It's like, for me, I consider them debuffs just because of how my life was affected. But get away from that. And that's how I felt. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And thing is, it's like it's one thing to do that. I ignore it. It's whatever. But then when they get criticized for some bullshit that they did, they would hide behind these labels like your discrimination, your ableist, and I'm just like, why though? Why are you doing that though? Like, why are you doing that? Your condition don't make you act like this. You ain't acting like a crackhead because you're autistic. You're just a crackhead. And obviously, though, people see that enough times. I saw that enough times and started to unconsciously just perceive and associate certain conditions with certain behaviors. It's pattern recognition. Everyone's kind of wired for it. That's how we survived for thousands of years. And so, someone say they're autistic, and I instantly associate them with being a bit crazy, a bit off their rocker, being a bit, um, having SJW tendencies. That's not the case. That's not the case. I mean, I was diagnosed with autism myself, and it kind of did change how I saw a lot of things. Obviously, I was gonna have to change how I saw it because it's like that's actually one reason I didn't believe I was autistic because I said I'm normal though. That was just me masking, and the moment I was diagnosed, I had a lot of trouble in school. Well, no, that I mixed things up. I had a lot of trouble in school, and I realized that made me suspicious. But I had a lot of trouble at work after the fact, and the way I thought and the way I went about things, it was now put through this filter of, am I doing this because I want to, or is this just an autism thing? Oftentimes, I found out that some trait I had that I thought was unique was just because I had autism or I have ADHD or some bullshit, which was kind of annoying, but you just deal with it. No. Yeah, so the hesitation was like if I end up talking about it, I don't know. I ended up perceiving myself as just I perceived people who talked about those things as attention whores because of the way they went about it. Now, even though there's a rational way to go through this and say you can talk about this and not be that kind of person, I think about five or four different things at once. If not at once, then consecutively after another, with each single thought lasting for about 2 to 3 seconds. It's kind of a mess up here. So I end up speaking aloud because it helps me anchor at least one thought stream out. Um, but when I was diagnosed, you know, one thing that my psychiatrist recommended for me to do was to just kind of look into autism. I had researched the traits. I do still now even look into why certain behaviors are more common than others and why this and that happens. Whenever I do something I think is strange, I end up asking, is this because of this? And I end up finding out there might be some kind of a reason for it. But I looked into the technical side of it. I don't think I looked enough into the lived social side of it. The thing is, I don't know any autistic people. All my friends are neurodivergent. Hmm. Well, I'm not sure about one of my friends. He says he has autism and ADHD, but the problem is I don't. He said he might have been diagnosed so long ago that I he doesn't even he's not really even sure what type of ADHD he has. Now I'm under the impression because of the way he behaves, especially on calls, that he's hyperactive. But I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But like, and this, I only like that friend is not a recent friend, but it's only the most recent months where he made me or us aware that he could have those conditions. I don't know. But generally, real face to face dialogue, discussion, and association, it's a conversation about autism. I've never had it with an autistic person. I've only spoken about this kind of stuff with my mother and my friends who kind of helped me grapple through it because I kind of had a panic attack when I realized I could have been autistic back in July. Um, so but like when I was diagnosed and because of my disbelief, I actually avoided looking into that kind of stuff because I still kind of was denying it mentally and I just didn't want to believe it was me. I didn't want to let it guide how I live my life. But then executive function difficulties and meltdowns at work. How many meltdowns has that been so far? Three meltdowns at work have kind of just forced me to face reality. But today, I kind of just got curious and I wanted to look into autism. I thought, you know what, at the end of the day, let's just see what these people are saying. I mean, they're probably gonna be like me, so it might be a fun thing to just see. They're not. They ain't, bro. I finally learned why it was called a spectrum. Because okay, so I as a person, I'm a very reason oriented guy. There's many stereotypes about autism that some people who are autistic would say aren't true. I feel like I fit the bill for some of those stereotypes, like a low empathy. It's more like I have empathy, but I'm not sure if you heard the term, but cognitive empathy. I can acknowledge someone's feeling, and by no intent of my own, I just don't really feel most things that people are feeling. When someone's feeling sad, angry about something, I'm like, I acknowledge how they're feeling, and because I've acknowledged it, I don't want to give them a response that seems cold and unfeeling, but I don't know how to respond to them, so I just freeze. People say I'm easy to talk to because of that, and I'm not someone who judges. They don't feel like I'll judge them or something, which is probably just because of the fact that I don't react to what they say half the time. Like they think I'm being considerate and easy to talk to. I'm just like, what the hell do I say to this? Like I can't really tell them I don't really, you know. But if that helps them feel better, then I'd say mission accomplished because I don't want them to feel sad, and if I can make them feel better by just being the guy who listens, then sure. But um, because of that, I don't lean too heavy on the emotional side of things, you know? Apart from when I've had outbursts because someone pressed me, they had to press me to get me there. Aside from when I had outbursts because someone pressed me, like I didn't really lean too hard into my emotions. And so I thought everyone else who had autism was the same. They ain't. They so aren't. I'm a utilitarian in terms of how I think about things. I think about what's the best things for the most people, and I don't really believe in morality in the sense of it exists, sure, but I see it for what it is. It's a human construct, a construct made because humans cannot be trusted to regulate themselves without it. Like they need some kind of incentive structure in order to behave themselves in any kind of society. Because if you don't have morals, if you don't have rules, these people go killing each other. They go molesting each other. They go doing a bunch of crazy things that you see people do anyways, even with the existence of morality. You know? But when I say I don't believe in morals, it's not a I do whatever I want type of thing. I'm not trying to get arrested. And I'm not a hedonist either. When I look at the definition of that type of stuff, I used to think it just means to be a kind of free thinking kind of guy who wants to just do your own thing. Apparently, it has a lot to do with like diving into like delving into debauchery and shit like that. No, no, that's not me. But yeah, so when I say I don't really believe in morality, it's more like I don't let morality become my law and order, my governing principle for how I live my life. I live how I want to live as long and I make sure that when I do that, I'm not inconveniencing people. I hardly leave my house anyways. I hate leaving my house. I hate talking to people, having to deal with people, having to talk to people, having small talk especially. I fucking hate it. I always leave that experience feeling so mentally frustrated, like just leave me alone, bro. Just leave me alone. Oh, my headphones are beeping. Low battery, I'll charge that in a bit. Actually, that beeping's gonna get annoying. Let me just turn that shit off. Alright. So yeah. Um I don't let it guide me or like again, it doesn't govern me, but how I intentionally live is I just use common sense. Is this the best thing to do in the situation for myself and for others? If yes, I do it. If no, I don't. And even with the whole yes thing, I'm not really so inclined to go out my way to help people necessarily because again that empathy is kind of extremely low of me and I don't wish it's different, but sometimes when I can kind of see how people when I talk and people look at me and give me a look like why would you say that, and it's like shit, I fucked up again, didn't I can't really even talk without sometimes people thinking I have some kind of ulterior motive, but I am just the type to talk for the sake of talking. But those other autistic people that I saw on the internet, they weren't like that. A lot of them were not like the way I thought. And when it comes to politics, here we go. Yeah, the big P. When it comes to politics, I lean neither left nor right. I take whatever policies I believe will help the most people. So, for example, right now, the state of the country that we're in, the UK, the UK is turned into a shithole, bro. The UK fell off hard, bro. The UK, the British, they were really doing something back in the day. Now, it's not about what they were doing, it's the fact that they were kind of on top of the world, so to speak. And then they fell off. I'm not going to delve too much into that because the UK, everyone knows what kind of a country the UK is, and it's really strange laws. But um, if removing people from the country is what it takes to make things better for the people who are already born here, I support that decision. But I also support other types of things like the systems we already have, like certain socialist policies, like universal healthcare and stuff like that. I don't really need to delve into it. I just think I want the best thing for the most people. So if you think it's gonna help people in the long term, not people outside the country, but in my homeland first, then I'm gonna do it. I'm a believer. I'm a supporter. I'm gonna do whatever. I'm a vouch for it. But I saw a lot of people who don't think the way I do without despite having my condition. And it puzzles me not because they have their own opinion, but because they don't have the same opinion. And the reason specifically is that if I'm autistic and I have a logical mind, and I don't really have too much of an emotional. I don't fall for emotional appeals really. Like if you try to make some kind of appeal to morality to or something like that, I'm not gonna go and say, oh, but the kids will think of the kids. I don't care. Like if people are being disenfranchised, if people are being disadvantaged because of this group existing in surplus, then remove them. That's how I think. And but the fact that other people who are like me meant to like conditionally, they ain't the same. It's like I don't get it. So I didn't really want to watch any more videos of autistic folks talking about stuff because even then, I also just felt out of sorts because it's like I'm watching them speak and I feel kind of alienated. But you know, I'm like, that ain't me though. I don't think the way they do at all. Like, yes, I have my interests and I absolutely love writing, love stories, narratives, spinning them, and I'm working on my own stuff. Like I have an idea for a story that I will one day get published. However it happens. Like the world, the power system, some of the arcs I've already planned. But I obviously know it's going to take like maybe 5 to 10 years before I actually get anything out there because of the state that I'm in right now. That's what I'm hyper focused on, you could say, is what I dedicate my life to because it's the only thing I'm really good at, I guess. Aside from maybe like predicting things and reading people and stuff like that. But so I was just confused. I didn't want to watch any more of those videos. I didn't care anymore about what other autistic people had to say. In my mind, it was like they ain't me. And my mom even tried to convince me to watch this video about autistic people finding love. And I didn't really want to watch it because I just kind of intrinsically knew that I was gonna feel weird by it. I did feel weird. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I saw a few minutes, seconds. I was like, nope, I ain't watching that. I guess it felt kind of patronizing, even though I don't perceive my mother as having any ill intent. I mean, she just found out her kid's autistic, so she's dealing with it in her own way and trying to support me in the ways that she can. But that wasn't it for me. But I did find one YouTuber's video who was speaking about every neurodivergent school experience. John Scully, right? Him. I'd actually been subscribed to him for a long time, but I never knew he had autism or ADHD because the videos that I watched, it wasn't mentioned at all. It was a pleasant surprise because when he spoke, I actually for once said, yeah, that actually annoying. That happens all the time. And I didn't feel weird watching that video. So seeing that video, it wasn't necessarily even the content. It was just seeing that video and finally really and truly understanding how different people are from each other, even with autism. It's like um it made me just feel like I wanted to speak about my own experiences just for a little bit. And honestly, in hindsight is 2020, of course. Most of the world is neurodivergent, but neurodivergent people don't always think the same. So thinking that autistic people would be the same, even if you're autistic yourself, is kind of it's not really very it's stupid. But yeah, I would have delved into my experiences as someone who's autistic, but if I'm being honest with you, I feel like on myself, it comes across as a bit too over overindulgent, over embellishing. I don't know. I feel like I'd be just yeah. I feel like I'd be over embellishing. It sucked. I'll even just give the broad strokes. Hated social situations. Perceived as shy, but I just couldn't handle myself well in crowds of unfamiliar people. Noises were not something I actually struggled with again until after I got diagnosed. Am I stimming? I am. Am I need to. I ain't gonna stop just because of that. It helps me focus, I guess. Uh, I'm Congolese, and that's a very socially demanding culture to have grown up in. Because obviously, I didn't get diagnosed until 20, adulthood. I spent my childhood being criticized for things that I did as a kid that everyone around me was like, "What's wrong with him?" Like, for example, when a adult who claims to be an aunt that held me when I was a baby and asked if I remembered them, even though I was a flipping baby. How the hell would I have remembered you? They asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I froze and entered a moment, a period of deep contemplation, deep reasoning. Think of ChatGPT's deep thinking type of thing. That's for me. That's activated on almost every single conversation because I'm no longer just trying to answer the question honestly. I'm thinking, what's the answer that will get them to leave me alone, but not sound like I don't actually think too like deep enough about my future? What's the best answer that won't lead to more dialogue trees being spawned out of nowhere? and leading to more and more questions and inquiries. And I start calculating, thinking, should I lie? Should I tell the truth but filtered, or should I make up something else? Or sorry, what's the details? What kind of story should I give if they do? Because not only that, I have to also account for the possibility that you know they do ask a question. What if they do ask a question? Well, I'm gonna be stuck if I don't think of a plan. So let me think about that. But obviously, I'm thinking these things. On the outside, I'm just staring at them like my eyes always dart around. You might have noticed in the video, my eyes always dart around whenever I'm thinking deeply about something. Like I can't make eye contact with people. That's very difficult. I cannot make sustained eye contact. It's extremely uncomfortable for me. So I typically look around and then they're staring at me thinking, why is he being so quiet? Like, did you hear me? Hello, hello. And I can see them. I know what they're saying, but I'm processing their request. Like I'm like a computer with a pretty shitty processor, an efficient but still shitty and slow processor. So the question my dad asked the most was, "Why are you so slow?" That wasn't the only thing. He criticized me for so much, and sometimes I went home crying. Is what it is, though. And then as I got older, I say most of my troubles just stemmed from my performance anxiety. It wasn't really performance specifically anxiety, but I just struggled with dealing with anxiety whenever it came to social situations, dealing with crowds of people, unfamiliar people, being made to perform in front of people. That was a big no-no. I remember in year six, they always did like a leavers play where the year that's graduating from primary school, they essentially do a play. And I did not want to be front and center. My teacher was like, "Do you want to be Steamboat Willie?" I'm like, "The fuck is Steamboat Willie?" Yeah, even in year six, I was swearing all the time. But I was like, "What the hell is that?" And it's that whole Mickey Mouse shit. I was like, "No, no." Like they tried getting me to the front so I could do something. I said no. I fought them on that shit. I said no. Secondary school didn't really make any true friends until year 10, where I moved schools and found people with common interests as mine. When I fared better, a girl had a crush on me that I did not pick up on whatsoever because why would a girl like me? Why would they like me? I had a relationship in year nine that didn't end so well, and I'm starting to think or understand that some of the autistic traits I had made it so that whenever my girlfriend really wanted something, I guess I either didn't pick up on it because I just didn't, or if I did, I get trapped in this layer of complex thinking where I'm wondering if what I'm gonna do matches with what she's trying to signal, and I say better not risk it. No more doing that shit. So I probably didn't. I probably fell short in some areas. That's the way the cookie crumbles. But after that relationship, it never processed or dawned on me that someone could like me for who I am. So I just kind of just didn't think about dating ever again. It's not a I hate women type of thing. No, no, no. Don't really care about women or men. It's just that they exist. I just don't think about the whole thing. Um, Let me skip a few years. Yeah, no, I think those are my biggest difficulties. My biggest difficulties nowadays don't even relate to autism. Setting aside the fact that I've had meltdowns at work, my biggest problem always stems from my ADHD. I have predominantly inattentive type, so anyone who has that condition kind of just understands what a giant fucking pain in the ass executive dysfunction and the paralysis caused by it brings you. No matter how much you want to fulfill a task, you just can't. You just can't do it. But yeah, no, you find ways to kind of just deal and cope with it. But I am at that stage where medication will be the only thing that helps me do anything really. Because I am really bogged down by that executive dysfunction. That I can't help but feel lazy, whenever I can't do something, because it's very hard sometimes for me to distinguish between what I intentionally do and what my brain, separate from my intent, is making my body do. The confusion, the dissonance between that just led to a bunch of confusion and just chaos in my mind and spiraling of like self criticism. But I got so tired of doing that. So I reached a point where I said, I'm done with that. I am done with that. Really though, I do feel that I'm in a better place. I do have my low points frequently. I do have my low points where I still sometimes feel like I used to sack of shit. But if I can build my PC after working for 3 years, I think I can make it. Probably. Obviously, I'm gonna try and direct that in the fields that I enjoy and excel at. But yeah, I think I can make it. Now, that's thinking back on everything. The most of what I really wanted to say because yeah, yeah, my life has been it's been ups and downs, but I watch a lot of videos, and some of those videos really just include looking at other people and how they live their lives. I ain't alone, and I know I'm not. I never forget that, even if I complain about my own life. And I think I'll be comfortable just talking about stuff in general. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't really have the interest in really talking about every difficulty I face and treating this like it's my diary. Although ironically, it kind of becomes a diary if I'm going to be listing other things in here and just having everything on record. But I mean, at the very least, I don't want it to be a trauma dumping ground where I just come home, turn on the camera, and start talking about, okay, so this is the thing that caused me to shut down today, and I start listing. No, 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 no. That ain't me, bro. This might be the first and last time I really speak about how much it sucks to have this condition sometimes. These conditions. Now, I'm not gonna act like it's always a downer. I mean, again, I think I don't know if I said this or not because I've already tried recording this 2 or 3 times. So, and my working memory is emptying just as fast as it feels. So you have to bear with me if I repeat myself. But hyper focusing and ability, I really appreciate it sometimes. But the trade off is sometimes also I just feel like it worth it. Like how I really feel about certain traits of myself just depends on the moment and environment. What I'm doing at that moment. But yeah, generally, I might still talk about how much something sucks. I might say I feel overwhelmed in some videos in the future, but this will probably be the first and last time I talk about that in such detail. I know who I am, know what I want to do after spending a good portion of my life figuring out, wondering what I was going to do. But yeah, I'm on this path. I'm gonna keep making content, and I'm at that place where I definitely want to keep going. Editing. I need to learn more about how I'm gonna edit. But if I'm being honest, I really, really, really love this format where I just speak. You know, it beats the flashes and everything. So you know, I think yeah, I am just gonna keep it like this because the thing is, like, while there's many other things I need to prepare for and buy in order to restart making the content I want to make, talking like this is something I can definitely do at any time, and editing is something I can also do at any time. But consider it an executive dysfunction. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do all that. It's so long, bro. But I will learn eventually. Um, I actually noticed I got a comment on a video the other day, and I was very pleasantly surprised to find, it was just a comment engaging with the video. You know, I was sitting there thinking, I'm gonna keep doing this for as long as it takes. But I just had a thought. I was wondering, how long would it take me to actually get to where I want to be? And then, you know, seeing that one comment really made me think, yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep going because the comment really, really reminded me of another thing I was seeking out through the creation of content. Having individuals I can discuss things with. Now, not in the sense of talking about topics you like with friends, like I talk about that kind of stuff all the time, but what I mean is debating a topic, like a topic like I did today. Like I'm talking about my autism and ADHD. Maybe someone who has both conditions or even just one of the conditions. And even if you have another one, you might comment and talk about your own experience. That's fine with me. It'll be interesting to see how other people have dealt with their life and stuff like that. But that one comment was engaging with the topic of the discussion, and I really liked that. I really want to. That's something I definitely came in to make content for, to have an audience I can just engage with. That would really be interesting. Like, there's probably gonna be some people I really disagree with, and there'll probably be some people I don't like the way they talking to me, and I'll be like, get the hell out of here. But um, for the most part, I think it'll be good. You know, I got nothing but time, so I can do this for years. You know, I'm definitely looking back to seeing where I am in 1 year, even if it's just with 1,000 subscribers. I'll be happy. You know, I'll be happy with it. You know, I had to do a lot of convincing to get my mom to fork over the money that she was had in my savings because I to get the PC built. But I kind of just told her, you know, I'm at that point in my life where I realized that there's not going to be many things I'll be able to do, so might as well just whip out the camera and start filming. I'm moving at my own pace, but I'll get to where I want to be. And I'm sure all of you, no matter what the hell you're doing, you'll get there as well. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but you'll get there. Even if I haven't made it there, you're going to get there. I'm going to get there. And I will never, ever, ever forget the ones who were there along the way. My memory is selective, I guess, but it's also very episodic. So I won't forget those who were there. Thank you for watching. I really wanted to make this video shorter, but I just kept talking and talking and talking. If you watched it to the end, I am so grateful. See you in the next one. That's about it for now.